My name's Scott Enyart, and I was 15 years old, photographer, photojournalist, at the time that Robert F. Kennedy was killed at the Ambassador Hotel back in June of 1968. Personally, it's been something that I didn't deal with for at least 20 years, something that has been very hard for my family to watch me go through. It's made me hard. It's made me disassociated from politics. It's made me lose a lot of the joy that you would normally have in life, knowing and seeing too much. It's like, you know, my father who went to war. You don't expect to go to the Ambassador Hotel to watch the candidate that you love and care about win an election and expect to see someone murdered. It's just terrible.
Robert Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, described the Mexican people as hard workers, family-oriented, and God-fearing. I tried to work as hard as I could at my job. I tried to raise my family with my own sweat. Don't let it be a strain on this country, and go to church as often as I can, and just try not to be a burden on this country.
My name is Paul Schrade. I live here in Los Angeles. I've been a union organizer most of my life, a community organizer, and been pretty deeply involved in politics for about 50 years. Well, I was pretty much out of anything for a few years after losing Robert Kennedy. I became bitter. I moved out of Los Angeles, out to the desert to get away from the whole idea of losing Robert Kennedy at the Ambassador Hotel. What helped revive me was Congressman Allard Lowenstein came to me and said, it may have been more than Sirhan firing in there that night. There may have been a second gun, and there's physical evidence of that. Would you get involved? And so I got involved very deeply. I filed a lawsuit against Sirhan and any others who may be involved in order to get at the evidence.
Hollywood, well, they shot feature films there all the time as a location, as well as they had bungalows, and so there was a tremendous amount of respect, privacy, security. The Ambassador Hotel was absolutely the center for Los Angeles. So it was a very friendly, very discreet place where you had people like the Kennedys or Jerry Lewis, Frank Sinatra, people like this. So it was a very exciting place. Marilyn Monroe was with the Evelyn Snively modeling agency, which was located at the Ambassador Hotel. Pretty much everyone in Hollywood ended up at the Ambassador Hotel. They had two rooms across the hall from each other, one room for doing interviews. And then on the other side of the hallway was Kennedy's family. They had a few of the kids with them, supporters, and it was basically watching TV and stuff, and Bobby Kennedy's walking around, you know, with his shirt and tie on and no pants on, you know, getting dressed and everything, putting on his cufflinks and things with the kids. And it was just a very homey sort of situation, and there was no sense of danger. There was no sense of fear.
His political ideas and demands were neither simplistic nor more populist than McCarthy. But Robert F. Kennedy became a hero for the common people. There was the memory of his assassinated brother, which added a melancholy and fascinating aura to his appearance. And then there was the personality of Robert Kennedy himself, which was very different from the image his supporters had of him. It was less that of a radiant conqueror and more like a Hamlet figure. Reflective, brooding, and doubting, and yet always energetic. He always gave an impression of restlessness and dynamism, things which Americans traditionally demand of a candidate. Poor people and ordinary people wanted something to change, and Kennedy promised them action.
Back home in Mexico, I used to see his picture along with John F. Kennedy's pictures and Martin Luther King's pictures. People back home in Mexico, they used to keep him as, you would say, next to Jesus Christ. They thought so much about him.
I'm Dolores Huerta. I am the co-founder and the secretary-treasurer of the United Farm Workers Union. We were able to change with the, the support of the public primarily, and with people like Robert Kennedy who came here and, brought the press, brought the attention of the whole country to what was happening to these workers. We did this, by having boycotts of grapes, lettuce, Gallo wine, until we were able to get the employers to sit down at the table and bargain with us. Later on, we were able to get a law passed, the Agricultural Relations Act, which the employers then are obligated to sit down and bargain with the workers.
And one of the things that we were able to do was we get Robert Kennedy to come out here with a migratory subcommittee of the U.S. Senate to investigate living conditions and working conditions of farm workers. And it was a wonderful event, particularly in Delano, because Robert Kennedy really solidified support among farm workers that I'd never seen before. Nobody else would go to Delano to do that.
One important moment I forgot is when Bobby Kennedy came during that strike, when we had a lot of women arrested and ministers arrested, and he brought his committee out here, Senate committee, and had this big major hearing. And he demanded of the sheriff to know why he had arrested all these workers, why he had arrested these people. And the sheriff of Kern County, his answer was, well, they might do something. I had to, put them in jail because they might do something. And Senator asked them during the lunch break, could he please go read the Constitution of the United States?
Robert Kennedy, for a long time, avoided getting into conflict with President Johnson. He often made the usual party speeches in honor of the president, speeches that were expected of him, because it seemed important to him to avoid disputes and divisions within the party, and also because he believed that, apart from the Vietnam War, Johnson was a president who had done lots of what had to be done for America, although perhaps not in the same way or in such a far-reaching manner as he himself thought was necessary. Also, it hadn't been easy for Kennedy to strike up a real relationship with Johnson, with the man who had succeeded his brother. So he hesitated for a long while to break with Johnson. When he finally decided to run for president, and to do so then in 1968, within a few hours he had at his disposal the kind of political machine which usually only a president can muster. His brother's former advisors came to him, people who had made politics in the White House, men who 8 years earlier had built up the Peace Corps for John F. Kennedy and now wanted to get into politics again. And with them were the young people Robert Kennedy had himself taken on, people of a different stamp from his brother's associates. The machine didn't always run without friction, but they all saw hope in Robert Kennedy.